Do not be the person who almost let fear take the best thing in their life. She chose to send it. She thought about what she had written just now, 3 paragraphs ago, in her own handwriting. If it is something, then we are wasting time, and I have wasted enough time already. She had written it. She had meant it. The only question was whether she was going to be the person who meant things and then acted on them, or the person who wrote the truth beautifully and then put it in a notebook under a floorboard where no one could find it.
Part 4, the Sunday morning. Everything became honest. She was there before him. That was not their usual arrangement. She was sitting with her notebook on her lap, closed, not writing, just sitting, the way someone sits when they have already said what they need to say to themselves and are now waiting to say it to the other person. He arrived 3 minutes early. He stood for a moment before she saw him, looking at her from a short distance. She looked, he thought, like the most honest person he had ever met. She looked like everything he was afraid of and everything he wanted. She looked like the thing he had been circling for months while pretending he was not. He sat down next to her. They looked at the park for a moment. "You go first," he said. "No," she said, "you." He exhaled, turned to look at her. "I pulled back," he said. "These past few weeks, I know I did, and I owe you an explanation." She waited. "There was a relationship 2 years ago. It ended because she said I was never fully present, that I was always looking slightly past wherever I was. And she was right. I had been doing it for years without knowing what I was looking for. And then I met you, and I understood what I had been looking for. And that frightened me in a specific way, because it meant the only thing left to do was stop looking past things and actually be here, fully. And I did not know if I knew how." He looked at the path ahead of him. "So I pulled back. Instead of being honest, I told myself I was protecting you. I think I was protecting myself, which was cowardly, and I am sorry." Maya looked at him for a long moment. "I know about the relationship," she said. He turned. "You mentioned it once, briefly. You said it ended quietly and without drama and that it was almost worse because of that. And I thought about it for a week afterward because I recognized something in it. The way you described being present. You have been the most present person in my life since the 3rd Friday. You remembered I cannot drink coffee after 3. You fixed my notebook with a paper clip. You read my manuscript with a green pen and knew exactly which paragraph mattered most. That is not absence. That is someone paying full attention." He looked at her. "I wrote about it," she said. "I figured." "Do you want to hear what I wrote?" "Very much," he said. She opened her notebook and read him everything. Her voice was steady. She had always been better on paper than in person, but this morning the two felt close to the same thing. When she finished, she closed the notebook and looked at him. His face was doing something she had not seen before, something open and slightly undone. "You're not afraid of being alone," he said quietly. "You're afraid of being alone and not minding." He was quoting her line, the first one he had ever read, the one that had made him stop. "Yes," she said, "I do not want you to stop minding," he said. "I do not want to be the reason you stopped minding." A pause, the park breathed around them. "Then don't be," she said simply. He reached over and took her hand. She let him. They sat like that for a long time, on the bench where her story had once been found, in the park where this had all quietly been growing since the very first Friday. Neither of them said anything else for a while. They did not need to. "I have loved you since the coffee shop," he said. "Maybe before." She did not say anything. She just tightened her hand around his. That was enough. That was more than enough. Part 5. What love actually looks like in real life. Being together was easier than either of them had expected, and also harder, in different ways. Easier because the friendship was already there. The respect, the honesty, the ability to sit in the same room and not talk and feel completely comfortable. They did not have to build that. It was already built. All they had to do was add the rest. Harder because the rest was real too. It brought the full weight of two actual lives pressing together. His long hours, her rejection sensitivity, his tendency to go quiet when he was worried instead of saying so, her tendency to assume the worst when someone went quiet. The first real argument was 3 months in. He had cancelled on a Friday, which still felt sacred to them both because of a work deadline. He texted an hour before. She replied fine. Her fine had the specific energy of a fine that was not fine at all. He called. "I know that fine." "Then you know what it means." "I'm sorry, this project..." "Daniel, I know you have a project. I understand that. I am not angry about the project. I am angry that you texted an hour before after we confirmed this morning. I rearranged my afternoon." A pause. "You're right, that was inconsiderate. I should have told you sooner. I'm sorry." "Properly." Another pause. "Okay," she said, quieter. "Okay meaning we're okay, or okay meaning you're waiting to be less annoyed?" "Both," she said, and she could hear him smiling. "I will make it up to you, not with a grand gesture, with actual scheduling and better communication." "That is the most romantic thing you have ever said to me." "I know your love language." She laughed. He was already forgiven. The harder thing, the thing neither of them talked about directly, but that sat between them in the quieter moments, was his father. Edmund was not getting better. He was stable, which the doctors presented as good news, but stable had a weight to it that Daniel carried home every visit. Maya saw it on his face when he came back. She did not ask him to talk about it before he was ready. She had learned this about grief from her own experience, that the kindest thing is not to open the door, but to stand near it, so that when the person is ready, they do not have to walk far. One evening, 3 months in, Daniel came back from the hospital and sat down at the kitchen table and did not move for a long time. Maya made tea. She put 1 cup in front of him. She sat down across from him. He looked up. "He asked me today if I was happy," he said. "My father, he asked me if I was actually happy, not managing, not doing okay, happy." "What did you tell him?" He looked at her. "I told him yes," he said. "For the first time in a long time, yes." She reached across the table. He took her hand the way he had on the park bench, like something being held steady. The manuscript had been rewritten, not because someone asked her to, because she finally understood what was wrong with it. The main character had been protecting herself from the story, standing slightly to the side of her own life, observing it rather. She drank some water. She looked at her emails 17 times in the next 3 hours. She did not tell him this. Part 6. The question that changed everything. Again, it was 6 months in, a Friday because it was always a Friday. He had made a reservation at the kind of restaurant that required a reservation, which was not their usual style at all. She had turned up in a dress because the restaurant name had seemed like a dress situation. The food was good. The conversation was good. There was a small gift on the table that he told her to open after dinner. After the main course, he said, "I have been offered a contract in Barcelona, 8 months, big project. A cultural centre, the kind of thing I would normally say no to everything else for." She put her fork down slowly. "Barcelona?" "Yes, for 8 months." "Yes," she looked at him. "That is wonderful," she said. "That is exactly the kind of project you should be doing." "Maya." "I mean it. A cultural centre in Barcelona." "I told them I needed to think about it," he said. "Because of you, because of us, because 8 months is a long time and I did not want to make that decision without talking to you first." She was quiet for a moment. The honest truth, the one she did not say right away, was that her first feeling was not excitement. It was a quiet, familiar dread. The dread of being left behind, of being the person who stays while someone else goes forward. She had felt it with every rejection letter. She had felt it watching Sandra move through a stable life while she kept gambling on a dream. She knew this feeling. She did not always know what to do with it. She reached across the table and opened the small gift. Inside was a small silver pen, lighter than her usual one, the kind that travelled well. She looked at it. She looked at him. "You bought me a travel pen." "I have a second bedroom," he said. "Or there are apartments, short-term lets. Barcelona is not the worst city in the world to write in. The light is, I would not push this if I did not think the light alone would make your writing better." She looked at the pen in her hand. "You are asking me to come with you." "I am asking if you would want to," he said carefully. "There is a difference. I am not asking you to give anything up. I am asking if this is something you would want. For you, not for me." She sat with it. The candle between them flickered. She thought about her apartment, her desk, her routine, the coffee shop where she had been going for 3 years. Sandra, who would worry and then miss her and then call twice a week, whether she liked it or not. She thought about the manuscript sitting in 6 inboxes, about what it meant to be waiting, again, for someone else's verdict on her life. She thought about the fact that the most frightening and most correct things in her life had always been the same thing. She thought about a paragraph she had written once and moved to page 1 and sent into the world because someone she loved had told her to trust herself. "Tell me about the apartment options," she said. He smiled, slow and full. "I have already looked at 3. "Of course you have. One has a roof terrace." "Obviously that is the one." She laughed. He laughed. The candle stopped flickering. She said yes. Of course she said yes. But here is what she did not tell him that night, that the manuscript had received a response. One of the 6 agents had emailed that afternoon, asking to see the full manuscript immediately. She had not said anything at the restaurant because she wanted to be sure before she made it real. She wanted to read the email again 3 times. She wanted to make sure she had not misread it. She had not misread it. Tomorrow she would tell him. Tonight she just wanted to sit with both things at once. The country they were about to go to and the future that was quietly, finally beginning to arrive. Part 7, Barcelona, where everything finally opened up. The light was exactly what he had said it would be. Maya stood on the rooftop terrace at 4 in the afternoon on their second day and understood what he meant. It was not just the brightness, it was the angle, lower, warmer, the way it came in sideways and lit everything from underneath, making the ordinary rooftops below look like something from a painting she had not known she needed to see. She opened her notebook. She wrote for 2 hours without looking up. When she came back inside, Daniel had made dinner and was pretending he had not been watching her through the glass door every 20 minutes. He was on the other side of the glass door drawing site plans. Her phone rang, an unknown number with a London code. She answered. It was the agent, not an email this time, a phone call. The agent said she had read the full manuscript over the weekend. She said she had not put it down. She said she had a specific editor in mind, someone who had been looking for exactly this kind of voice for exactly this kind of story. And she wanted to represent Maya, if Maya would have her. Maya said yes before the agent had finished the sentence and then had to ask her to repeat the last part. When she hung up, she sat without moving. Then she turned around. Daniel was in the doorway. He had heard enough through the glass to understand. He had been standing there for 3 minutes, completely still, watching her face do everything it was doing. She looked at him. She said very quietly, "She wants to represent me." He was across the terrace in 3 steps. He pulled her up from the chair and held her the way you hold someone when you have been waiting for something alongside them and it has finally arrived. Not a celebration hug, something deeper than that, something that said, "I always knew and I am so glad and I was right here." She cried. She had not expected to cry, but apparently that was how it came out. After 18 years and 19 rejections and one good man with a green pen and a roof terrace in Barcelona, it came out as tears. "I told you," he said into her hair. "You told me," she said. "I said I know so." "You said I know so." "I know so," he said again, present tense, because some things you keep saying. She cried into his shoulder on a Barcelona rooftop on a Tuesday afternoon. He held on until she was done. Then they sat in the sun and called Sandra, who cried too and said, "I always believed in you," in a way that was not entirely true, but was what people say when they are proud and ashamed of their doubts at the same time. Maya let her say it. Some grace is more important than accuracy. Part 8. The last night in Barcelona. The question. The last night in Barcelona was warm for the end of the contract. They had packed most of the apartment. The boxes were stacked by the door. The terrace had been cleared except for the plant, a small stubborn succulent she had bought in the market in month 2 and refused to abandon, the 2 chairs they were sitting in and a stack of his sketchbooks against the wall. 3 of them, full. The city below was doing what it always did, living fully, loudly, completely unaware of the 2 people above it, who had spent 8 months changing inside the sound of it. Maya was thinking about the book. The manuscript was with the editor now. The publication deal was not signed yet, but it was close, real close, the kind of close where you allow yourself to believe it. She was also thinking, though she had not said this out loud, about what came next. They were going home, back to the city where they had started. And the question of what home looked like now, whose apartment, which neighborhood, what the next year held, was present in both of them in the comfortable way of something that would be worked out because it wanted to be worked out. Daniel had been quiet for a while, not cold, internal. She knew this about him now. She did not push. She'd been watching the city lights when she heard him shift in his chair. She turned. He was holding something small. She looked at it. She looked at him. He looked back. The same look from the first rooftop a year ago. The one he had not looked away from, except now there was nothing held back in it. No fear behind it, no calculation, just him, completely, quietly his. "I had a speech," he said. "I have been writing it for 3 weeks. It was very good. I have forgotten all of it." She waited. "I know what I want to say, which is, you are the person I catch pages for. Whatever version of that I get to be for the rest of my life, I want it to be with you. All of it. The Fridays and the bad hospital coffee and the mornings I need to learn to be quieter in and the books you haven't written yet. All of it." He opened the small box. A ring, simple, the kind that had been chosen by someone who paid attention. "Maya, will you stay my Friday?" She laughed, the surprised kind, half-second delayed, the kind that meant it was real. Then her face went quiet and open and entirely sure. "Always," she said. "Yes, always." He put the ring on her finger. It fit perfectly. Because of course it did. She looked at her hand. She looked at him. "You measured my ring finger," she said. "I borrowed a ring from your jewelry box 3 months ago. I put it back the same night." "You've been planning this for 3 months?" "4," he said. "I lost my nerve in month 1. She laughed again. He laughed. Below them, the city of Barcelona carried on, enormous and indifferent and completely beautiful. She leaned her head against his shoulder. He put his arm around her. They stayed like that for a long time, on their last night in the city where everything had finally opened up. She looked at the 3 sketchbooks against the wall, 8 months of drawings, the instinct that had gone quiet coming back louder than before. She thought about the manuscript, about the second book already started on her laptop, about going home, about what home meant now. "The sketchbooks," she said quietly. "We're not packing them in the boxes." "No," he said, "we're carrying them." "We're carrying them," he agreed. They sat there a little longer. "You are the person I catch pages for." She looked at the ring on her finger. 8 months ago, she had been afraid of being alone and not minding. She was not afraid of anything like that anymore. Part 9, Coming Home, and what home means. Now they came home in November, almost exactly 1 year after the first Friday. Almost exactly 1 year after Pages went up into the autumn air on a street corner, and a man chose not to walk past. The book deal came through in the second week of December. Maya found out on a Wednesday afternoon. She was at her desk, their desk now in the apartment they had decided on together, his drawing board in the corner and his good coffee and his infuriating habit of leaving cabinet doors open. And the email came through and she read it twice and then walked to the kitchen where he was standing and said, "It's sold." He turned from the counter. She said it again, quieter, like she was still making it real. "It's sold, Daniel." He crossed the kitchen. He held her the same way he had on the Barcelona terrace. Not celebration, but recognition. The acknowledgement of something that was always true, finally being confirmed by the world. "I know so," he said. You always said that. I always meant it. She pulled back and looked at him. We should call Edmund. Edmund will be insufferably smug. He told me this would happen 9 months ago. Edmund is allowed to be insufferably smug. Call him. They called Edmund. He was insufferably smug. He was also so delighted that his voice went slightly rough at the edges, which he covered by asking Maya 3 crossword questions immediately. She got 2 of them right. He told her she was wasted on his son. She said she was keeping him anyway, and then Edmund said in a quieter moment, when Daniel had stepped away, I want you to know something. He used to call me after every Friday. Every single one. He never said what the calls were about. He just called. And he sounded like himself again, like the version of himself I remembered from before everything got heavy. I did not know why until I met you. Maya did not say anything. You gave him his Fridays back, Edmund said. That is not nothing. That is everything. She had to look out the window for a moment. He gave me mine too, she said quietly. Maya and Sandra had lunch the week after the deal was announced. Sandra arrived 5 minutes early, which she never did. She sat across from Maya and looked at the ring and said, He seems wonderful. He is. I looked up his buildings online. He is very good. He is that too. A pause. I owe you an apology, Sandra said, about the writing, about the stable job comments, about the years of stable job comments. Maya looked at her sister. Sandra was not a person who apologized easily. This was costing her something. You were scared for me, Maya said. That is not an excuse. No, but it is true, and I know it. I watched you struggle for years, Sandra said, then stopped, started again. I watched you struggle and I did not know how to help, so I tried to redirect you towards something I understood, something that would mean you did not have to struggle. And I told myself that was love. She looked at her hands. I think it was love, but it was also fear. My fear, not yours, and I put it on you. This was not what Maya had expected. She had expected the apology, not the honesty underneath it. Sandra, she said, I am proud of you, Sandra said. Not because of the book, because you kept going when I kept telling you to stop. That was brave. I did not see it then. I see it now. Maya felt something release in her chest, something she had not known she was waiting for. I brought you something, she said, and reached into her bag. She put the proof copy on the table between them. Sandra picked it up. She looked at the cover. She opened to the dedication page. She read it. She put the book down carefully. Her eyes were shining. The dedication read, For Sandra, who worried about me, and for Daniel, who did not. Both of you taught me something I needed to know. Sandra did not say anything for a moment. Then she picked up her menu. We should order. You are buying. You have a book deal. Maya laughed. Fair enough, she said. Part 10. The Street Corner, 1 year later, full circle. The book came out on a Thursday in October, exactly 1 year after the pages had gone up into the autumn air on the same street. Maya did not plan this. The timing was the publisher's. But when she realized it, when she counted backward and understood, she felt the particular quiet pleasure of a story that has shaped itself into something that knows what it is doing. She went to pick up her author copies on her own. She wanted the first moment with the real book, not a proof copy, the actual published thing to be just hers. She had earned the right to have something just be hers for 60 seconds. She came out of the bookstore and stopped on the pavement. She looked down at the cover. her name on the front, her story. 18 years of notebooks and 17 rejections and a one windy afternoon, and one man with a green pen and a roof terrace in a city she had not known she needed. And underneath all of it, the line she had written alone at 27 that had turned out to be the beginning of everything. She looked up. Daniel was at the corner, the same corner where he had handed back her pages. He was leaning against the wall with his hands in his pockets, trying to look like he had not been standing there for 20 minutes, waiting for her to come out. She looked at him, he looked at her, he looked at the book in her hands. His face did the thing it did, the quiet, full thing that was better than any expression that tried harder. She walked toward him, he met her halfway. He took the book from her and looked at the cover the way he had looked at everything she ever let him read, with full, serious attention. He turned it over, he read the back. He looked up. "I told you," he said. "You told me," she said. He handed the book back. He took her hand instead. They started walking, no destination, just the city and the autumn afternoon, and the feeling of two people who had arrived somewhere that had been waiting for them. She looked down at the book in her left hand and the ring on her right. She thought about the woman who had walked out of this bookstore 1 year ago, the woman who was questioning everything, the woman who was 18 years and 17, rejections into a dream that the world kept asking her to let go of. That woman was still here. She had not gone anywhere. She had just been given very unexpectedly by a windy afternoon and a stranger who did not walk past. The thing she had written about, wanting for years. Someone who heard the things she never said out loud. She was not afraid of being alone. She had stopped being afraid of that. She was not afraid of being alone and not minding. She minded deeply about all of it, and all of it was exactly right. "You are the person I catch pages for." She looked at the book in her hand, her name on the cover, his hand in hers. This was what it looked like. This was what 18 years of not quitting felt like. This was everything, THEEND. Some people almost let fear take the best thing in their life. Almost. Do not be that person. Part outro, a message for you before you go. And that is the story of Unrevealed Love. At the beginning, I asked you a question. Have you ever met someone and immediately known they were going to matter? Daniel knew on a street corner when the pages went up and he chose not to walk past. Maya knew in a coffee shop when someone read her work like it deserved to be read. They almost let fear take it from them. He pulled back, not because he did not feel it, but because he had been hurt before, and because he was afraid that what he felt was not something he knew how to carry without dropping it. She almost let him, but she did not. She wrote the truth down like she always did, and then she said it out loud, and that made all the difference. This story is about 3 things. First, do not walk past. Whatever version of that exists in your life right now, whatever moment is standing in front of you, waiting to see what you do with it, do not walk past it. Second, do not pull back from things that are real because you are afraid of not being enough for them. You will only find out if you are enough by being there, fully, without the half-inch of extra distance. Fear of losing something is not the same as actually losing it. Honesty is the only thing that gets to decide. Third, keep going. 18 years, 17 rejections. One line that stopped a stranger mid-sentence. That is all it takes sometimes. One line, one afternoon, one person who does not walk past. Your line exists. Write it, say it, send it. Do not keep it in a notebook under a floorboard where no one can find it. If this story reached you, share it with someone today. And go to the comments right now and answer the question, have you ever met someone and immediately known they were going to matter? We want to read every single one. The best comment this week gets featured in the next video. Subscribe if you are not already here. New story every week, every single one made for you. Like this video if it made you feel something. It genuinely helps more people find these stories. And thank you for watching to the end, for staying, for feeling it. I will see you in the next one. End of script.